Hey friends, my name is Ravi and welcome to the It's Not That Serious podcast. Learn and grow with me on my journey of self-love and betterment. I'll take my experiences and topics to inspire growth, change, and overall self-satisfaction. Hey y'all, your girl's sick. So everything is just so dry right now. The weather being really dry really affects my sinuses. I think I've just been around people who are sick. So I got sick. I always get sick around this time of year. I think a lot of people do. But everything feels so dry. My eyes, my sinuses, my throat, my ears are so congested I can't even hear. And my skin is super dry too. So I'm just like, But it's okay. We're still pulling through. And here I am, dedicated to record this podcast. I'm excited to record this episode because I feel like it'll be helpful for those that feel anxiety or stress or a multitude of emotions when it comes to the holidays. Holidays being Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and whatever other holidays that people may be celebrating. I know Thanksgiving just passed, and I'm recording this afterwards, but I hope this still helps for those who are able to listen to it before the other upcoming holidays. So the holidays can be anxiety-provoking for a lot of people, and that could be for many various reasons. And the reasons I want to be discussing today revolve around the anxiety of being surrounded by negative family members or just having negative interactions with certain family members or friends. So it kind of just makes you not want to be around that. And also the stress of finances. So getting gifts for people, who to get gifts for, what gifts to get, if you have the money for the gifts. And lastly, I want to talk about feeling lonely or having FOMO, fear of missing out during the holidays. Because, social media and all that stuff makes it very hard to not feel lonely during the holidays. And not only am I going to talk about these things, I'm also going to talk about ways to cope with it or cope with feeling these feelings or what you can do to feel better in these times of negative feelings. It's also important to remember what the holidays are about. It's about spreading joy, spreading cheer, being thankful, grateful, being kind. And that's not just for people around you. That's also to yourself. And I know that, sometimes social media can kind of project that, and it could do the negative effect or the opposite effect, where you kind of feel the need to feel that way. And if you don't, then you kind of are hard on yourself. So we will dive into that a little more. But yeah, with that being said, you want to spread that cheer, love, positivity, and all that stuff to you and to the people around you in general. And if you aren't feeling that way, that is fine. Just be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself and just bask in that energy, bask in that positivity, bask in that love. Spread it. Be that energy. Feel that energy. Sound like I'm in La La Land. Okay, so to dive into my first topic with family members and just negative interactions, I'm sure each family has some interaction that they kind of dread having during the holidays. For Thanksgiving dinner. I know Thanksgiving passed, but I'm still gonna use that as an example. So just being at the dinner table with a bunch of your family members or your cousins or a bunch of your friends that you label as family, whoever it may be. Sometimes you feel like you have to go to these parties and interact with them, and they might be interactions such as some of these family members having the need to comment on your weight. In one of my episodes, I talked about Filipinos commenting on weight a lot, which can have a negative effect whether they mean to have malicious intent or not. I highly doubt it's malicious, but, sometimes it does have that effect. But at least in the Filipino tradition, it's so normal for someone to comment on your weight, like, oh, you've gained weight. Oh, you've lost weight. Wow, you look so sexy. You lost weight. Like, it kind of like puts pressure on that, and it's not always a good interaction for some people. It makes some people uncomfortable. Or some families start arguments due to political or religious standpoints. It can be a touchy topic for some people because they're more opinionated or just heavily identify with a religion or a political stance. And there's nothing wrong with that. The point I'm trying to make is that some people may be offended when it comes to talking about political views or religion. It is a touchy topic. So sometimes if that is brought up, arguments start and people get hurt, people get defensive. It kind of just ruins the mood and it's awkward for people. Another example of negative interactions with family members could be competition with siblings or cousins. Sometimes some parents kind of project or compensate for their childhood onto their child. So the things that that parent wasn't able to accomplish or do as a kid, they're kind of projecting it onto their child. And when their child is making those goals or succeeding in specific things, then the adult, the parent feels the need to have them on a pedestal over all the other kids at the family gathering. That says more about them and that says more about the kid than it does you if you're the other person in that situation. Or sometimes it just is the cousin or sibling themselves where they're like, I graduated law school, I'm a millionaire, I'm doing all this. And it's like, hey, cool for you. That doesn't make you any better than me. That doesn't make you any less than me. Like, you're on your own goal, you're on your own path. I'm on my own goals, I'm on my own path. That's fine. Just because we have two different lives doesn't mean one of us is better than the other. But all this with the one-upping or the competition of successes all just come from a place of ego. It just comes from a place of needing to feel better about oneself. So if you're on the other end of that and you're feeling hurt that someone's trying to one-up you, or the parents are like, oh, your cousin Steve, like, he does all this, you should try that. Sometimes it seems like it's coming from a place of malicious intent, but it's just that parent wanting to feel better about themselves or their kids, their prized possession. It's like, to them, it's an ego boost. Like, my kid that I birthed and raised is able to do that, Or if your parent is the one that's like, oh, why don't you do that your cousin's doing? It's because maybe your parent and the other parent are in competition with each other. It's all just egotistical. It has nothing to do with you. Those are just some of the negative examples, ways you can cope with these certain things. To start off could be setting boundaries. I know it's not always easy, but if you're able to, if you have the ability to set those boundaries and you are able to vocalize what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, what hurts you, and all that stuff, then set those boundaries. Firmly address what you're okay with or what you're not okay with, what you didn't like, what Aunt Susan said that hurt you and you didn't want to hear. Sometimes when you do bring these up and that person apologizes, it kind of like warms your heart. Sometimes it could help to also question it. So if, let's say, your Uncle Bob, I don't know why I'm coming up with these random names, but Uncle Bob said, oh, last time I saw you, you were skinnier, you ate a lot more. Maybe ask Uncle Bob, why do you feel the need to comment on my weight? Looks like you gained weight. Okay, maybe not say something back like that, but like, maybe ask, like, why does it matter? And if they're like, oh, nothing. It's like, then why did you say that? Why did you feel the need to? Like, not trying to pester them in why they said that, but more like understand, like, why are you saying that? Why was that important to you? What was your goal here? And sometimes they don't have an answer and it'll put them in the spotlight. Maybe make them think, like, that wasn't necessary. I should stop commenting on her body. Sometimes bringing these things up can spark an argument. It can add some heat and tension to the conversation. But with that, you definitely want to carefully pick your battles. If you see the conversation starting to spiral into the direction that is not wanted, maybe steer away from it. Leave it at that. Just know you tried your best. Know that you try to set up the boundaries for yourself because you respect yourself and you're not gonna take anyone's shit. You're not gonna let anyone step on you. But yeah, be firm. Be firm with yourself and set your boundaries. Try not to start any arguments. If you don't want to set boundaries, if speaking up is scary, or you just know that your family's not going to take it well and it's going to end up in a negative interaction or maybe an argument, maybe just like stay away from that side of the family. Maybe you can go like grab your cousins or your aunt or uncle or whoever that you know you have good positive interactions with, that you enjoy their company, and just be like, hey, let's go grab some pie and sit outside. Or if you can't because it's raining or snowing, just be like, oh, like, let's go sit in the other room. Let's go talk over here. Like, you don't need to be in the same room as the people who are yapping on about stuff that you don't want to hear. This one's kind of generic, but focusing on self-love. Just remember that a lot of these comments, a lot of these interactions with these family members don't have much to do with you. It has everything to do with them. And if they do say things that do hit you and you feel that they are true, then just do a little self-reflecting and see if what they said about you is really true. I highly doubt it is. It all comes from a place of emotion and hurt and pain. And so if they say something negative and you believe it, then you're letting them win. You're letting them control your own thoughts and emotions. And you don't want that. And if they are commenting on your weight, if you lost weight, it's okay. It'll come back. You'll be able to gain that weight back. Good things take time. But if you gained weight, okay, period. Good for you. You're gaining weight, which means you're eating good. You're getting the nutrients. I mean, if you are able to get the food, you're living a healthy life. You're living a healthy, wealthy life. So more power to you. And lastly, when it comes to these family gatherings, you don't have to go. Like, you literally do not have to go if you don't want to. Or if you feel the need to go, like if you absolutely think you need to, or you should, you feel obligated to, or you just don't have a choice because your parents are forcing you, just show up for a little bit. Like, you show up for an hour, eat the food, show some presents, and then dip after. But if you carpooled and you don't have any other choice, or you flew over there and you have to be there, then, like I said, just go into another room. Just go outside. I don't know. Just don't be in the room that's draining your energy with someone else's negative energy. But if you have the ability to not be there the whole entire time, then maybe take a separate car, just grab the food and dip. You don't need to stay there. You can do something else. So if no one's forcing you, you're good. So moving on to the next topic of another stressor when it comes to the holidays is gift giving, or having the financial freedom to spend on yourself or for loved ones or spouse, partner, siblings, whoever it may be. First of all, I want to reassure you, don't feel pressured to get gifts for anyone. There's no need to get gifts for anyone if you can't or don't want to. Especially if it isn't in your budget. Like, if you literally can't, if you financially are incapable of doing so, then don't stress yourself out for it. Like, you don't have to. You don't need to give what you don't have, you know? You can't fill someone else's glass if yours is empty. Also, some people just don't have the love language of gift giving, and that's totally fine. I struggled with this. I was not a gift giver at all. It was at the bottom of my love languages. So I was never a huge gift giver, and someone got mad at me for that. But I understand now why it was an issue. So this is where the communication comes in. You definitely want to communicate with, let's say if you have someone that you are dating, or like a really, really close friend, or a really, really close family member, or whatever, where you guys are like this, maybe talk about your expectations for one another. Like, maybe set a budget. for how much you're willing to spend on each other. Or if you guys want to do gifts. Or if you don't want to do gifts, maybe like do something else, like take them out to a nice place or get them food or just spend time with them and set like a new tradition to where you guys are able to show your love and appreciation for each other. Just make that communication known and present. And that will be a present in itself. And if gift giving is one of your love languages, if that's something you do want to do, you feel the need to get gifts for someone or people, but you don't know exactly who to get gifts for, maybe prioritize your friendships and relationships. So who do you feel the most close with? Who do you feel the most grateful for? Who are the people that are more of your ride or dies rather than just like the friends that are kind of just there, you know, that you're not as close with? Like, you don't need to be throwing your money left and right like you're Oprah Winfrey, you know? And as I mentioned earlier, just keep in mind, Christmas isn't just about gifts. It's not just about wrapping stuff up in a box and putting wrapper and a little bow. Although it's cute and it's nice to put under the Christmas tree, like, it's not just about that. That's just all the stuff you see in the media, and that's just like the tradition. But you can always start your new tradition. It doesn't have to be gifts. It's all about the appreciation, the love, happiness, joy, cheer, holly jolly, you know. There's just more to it than material aspects, is what I'm trying to get at. And lastly, I want to talk about feeling lonely during the holidays, or feeling FOMO. I want to acknowledge that not everybody has family or friends that they are able to spend the holidays with. Or maybe they do, but they're unable to for whatever reason it may be, and just makes their situation difficult. Or if there was a death in the family or a lost loved one or whatever the case may be, I want to acknowledge that sometimes people don't have that. And I want to talk about that and maybe ways that can help in coping with that. And just feeling FOMO in general due to social media and people posting about being surrounded with friends and family when other people are seeing this and not being able to get that same luxury. I know a lot of people do Friendsgivings with friend groups or just one friend group, or however many Friendsgivings people want to go to. And those people are really fortunate to have those friends that they're able to celebrate with and bring food and eat delicious foods with. I actually wasn't able to start doing Friendsgivings until like the more recent years. Like, I never had that friend group to do that with, and I did feel lonely. But these last few years, I've been very fortunate to do so. But it did take time. So if you're in that situation where you don't feel like you have friends, I'm here to reassure you that good things take time, and maybe next year you will have that. And if you don't have it, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, no one's pressuring you to have to go out with friends if you don't want to or if you can't, you know? And I think that's more of just what people post on social media too. I don't think Friendsgiving was really a thing until more recently too. I don't know. That's just my observation. But definitely social media, people post a lot. I'm guilty about that too. I will be posting on there when I'm with friends, posting pictures of me going out with them, doing Friendsgiving with them, eating all this food. And if you're on the other side of that, just like watching people do this, like even, let's say like I do have a Friendsgiving, but then the next day all my friends leave and then I go on social media and I see other people having Friendsgivings and I'm just at home. It is draining. Like, it does create FOMO because it's like, first of all, why wasn't I invited? Oh, I wish I was doing that right now. Oh, they look like they're having so much fun and I'm just here doing this. You know, like, social media itself kind of idolizes that, just being with friends and just living this luxurious life. But just remember, social media is not real. Social media just puts up all these, I don't want to say fake, because it's not fake, like, you are doing that, but it kind of just like puts on this facade of how life is, when that's not all there is to life. There's so many different dimensions of a person and of their life. So when they're just posting stuff on social media, that's just like don't see that and feel bad for yourself, you know. Definitely with all that. Also, I'm losing sunlight. The lighting's gonna be all weird now. Dude, this time change is crazy because It's only 4 and the sun's already setting and I'm like, all right, my bedtime is like 2 hours. I swear to God, I've been going to sleep so early. I'll be going to sleep at like 7. I promise I can do math. I know 4 plus 2 is not 7. I was exaggerating. What's 9 plus 10? 21. As mentioned earlier, I want to touch back on this. With social media and TV and all that stuff, I feel like there definitely is pressure to be happy and holly jolly and just joyous during the holidays. If that's not the case for you, like if you don't feel that way, that's totally fine. You don't need to feel that way. Like, don't fall under that pressure if that's not what you're feeling. If you are feeling lonely, if you are not able to surround yourself with certain people for whatever reason it may be, because they're either no longer here with you, if they're on the other side of the world, or you're just no longer friends with them, or they're just not in your life, and you really feel that presence missing, that's okay. Just feel what you have to feel, vent what you need to vent, find that support system, and be gentle with yourself. It's okay if you are not happy. You don't need to force yourself to feel that way. If you have lost somebody, maybe memorialize them. So spend the holidays doing things that they would have liked. So if like they liked going to museums or doing art, going to the beach, maybe do that as if you were doing it with them or for them. I'm sure that'll bring a lot of happy joy and spirit for you and them, knowing that you're doing it in honor of them. You can kind of create a new tradition in that sense too. So you're honoring them and starting a new tradition for yourself. And it doesn't have to necessarily feel like you're doing it without them. It's like you're doing it with them knowing that their spirit is with you. That makes me so like emotional. Just in general, like if you don't feel like the holiday spirit is for you, just create new traditions. Maybe you and your family or you and your friends can do something new, do something different that has nothing to do with the regular tradition that we've grown up with. Like, you don't have to put up a Christmas tree. You don't have to get gifts. You don't have to do any of this stuff. Do what works for you and make it your own tradition. It doesn't need to be the same as everyone else's. And I know I've been talking a lot about social media. So with that being said, like, limit your social media usage. If being on social media causes more anxiety, then you don't have to be on it. I know it's easy to pass time or distract yourself, not think about the thoughts you don't want to think about, but maybe try doing something else, like reading or watching a movie or doing something else to take your mind off of that. You don't have to be on social media. And if you want to, just go ahead and challenge yourself and delete social media for like a week or something and see how that makes you feel. If you just don't want to see people's posts all over your feed, just unfollow them. No one's going to be truly offended that you've unfollowed them. And if they do, like, it's better that you are looking out for yourself. If it's hurting you to see their stuff on social media, then like, why would you keep following them, you know? If you are friends with them, you just don't want to see it, just mute it. Just mute their stories, mute their posts. It's fine. And lastly, another thing you can do is volunteer. It always feels good to give back to the world, to spend some time and energy helping other people. It's really rewarding. So if you want to try doing that, if you have time to do that, if you are feeling lonely and need something to do, or you want to have some interactions, maybe volunteer. See what volunteer opportunities there are around your town. In conclusion, the holidays can be really hard for some people. For others, maybe not. But I do want to acknowledge that the holidays can provide or provoke a lot of anxiety. It's not always holly jolly, rainbows, butterflies, happiness, la la land. And that is okay. Sometimes family drama arises. There's stress for so many reasons, maybe because of finances, and loneliness for a multitude of reasons, for social media, for the death of a loved one, or just not being able to be surrounded by loved ones. And if you are that person feeling any of these feelings, being in any of these situations, it's okay. You're okay. Don't feel pressured to go to these family gatherings. Don't feel pressured to engage in these uncomfortable negative conversations with people. Don't feel pressured to go to places that will trigger you. And if you absolutely have to go, just don't go for too long. Don't stay for that long. Or if you have to be there, go to a different room, be in a different area. You don't need to be sat at that table for hours. And also set boundaries, talk about expectations. Set boundaries with these people that are creating this negative space for you, or set boundaries when it comes to gift giving and your expectations or budgets, and prioritize who you want to prioritize. Prioritize who you want to spend time with, get gifts for. And if you don't want to, maybe get yourself a gift. And the big takeaway is it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel lonely. It's okay to feel stressed out or anxious during the holidays. It's understandable. There's so many reasons that I probably, or not even probably, there's so many other reasons that I didn't even list. There's so many reasons why you could be feeling anxious, and that is okay. Like I said, you can always set new traditions. You can always start new things, new memories, and just make the holidays a fun time for you in whatever way you can. It doesn't have to be the traditional type of Thanksgiving, Christmas, or holiday tradition that the whole rest of the world has. Acknowledge what you feel, acknowledge the situation, acknowledge what your body needs, and be kind to yourself, because life is not that serious.